O.J. McDuffie and Irving Spikes are the deep men. Spikes making his return. He was inactive the last 7 games due to a back injury. And here comes Spikes. Out across the 20. Broke tackles and is taken down at the 27-yard line by Carwell Gardner. 24-yard return by Spikes. And here comes Dan Marino. And a look at the offensive line. 2 Pro Bowlers. Richmond Webb making it 6 for 6 to the Pro Bowl. Keith Sims, the other Pro Bowler. Byers and Parmalee are the running backs. Fryer, McDuffie, and Green are the receivers. So the Dolphins start out from their 27-yard line. And it is Parmalee who is stopped. Short gain for Parmalee. Cornelius Bennett, number 97, making the tackle. And a look at the Bills up front. They have played extremely well. Phil Hansen, although still bothered by a back problem. Ted Washington had a strong game in the earlier meeting against Miami. And Bruce Smith on fire as of late. Bryce Pop, making it to the Pro Bowl for the 2nd time, leads the NFL with 16 sacks. Ken Irvin starting for the injured Marlon Kerner at the left corner. Greg Evans comes in as the extra defensive back. 2nd down play for the Dolphins. And Marino able to complete over the middle to the tight end Eric Green, who has been very quiet in recent weeks. Met by the inside linebacker Monty Brown.
And Eric Green really has not been that much of a factor in this Miami offense, and a big reason has been his injuries. He's had the problem with his knees. Practiced only twice since the first Buffalo game. So this season has been a major disappointment for Eric Green and the Dolphins, who were expecting so much out of him.
3rd and 6. Gary Clark in as the extra wide receiver. We are just underway with a minute and a half gone by. Marino on the run. And Irving Fryer could not make the catch, facing the double coverage.
Bill Mel Johnson, who was just activated off the practice squad yesterday, comes in, and right off the bat, Dan Marino is going to pick on him. You live long enough on that practice squad, you can't wait to get on the field, and he comes up big on his first try.
He is a first-year player out of Illinois, a 7th-round pick last season. John Kidd, who had an excellent game against Kansas City on Monday, the former Bill, punting to Steve Tasker to the 35. And he's taken out as he crossed the 40-yard line. Matt Johnson made the play, a 41-yard punt and a 14-yard return. And here come the Bills offensive unit as you look at Tasker, who made it to the Pro Bowl as a special teams player, although he has hardly played special teams this season. In fact, making his 2nd start today as a wide receiver. A look at that offensive line anchored by Ken Hull. They've played well. Thomas, the running back, coming off a terrific day against the Rams last week. And Kelly to throw on 1st down. Took a deep drop, could not find anyone. Excellent coverage by the Dolphins. And Jeff Cross getting the wraps on Jim Kelly. Miami Dolphins with Cross, Bowens, Klingbeil, and Coleman comprising the front 4. Bowens with a strong game on Monday. And a look at the nickel alignment. Chris Singleton and Brian Cox, the linebackers. And you see the 5 defensive backs. Terrell Buckley playing for the injured J.B. Brown. 2nd down and 15. A covered sack for Jeff Cross. And this is Thomas getting back to the line of scrimmage and stopped by Brian Cox. And with the announcement of Brian Cox on the public address as making the tackle, you hear the reaction. Brian, not a popular fellow in this area.
Boy, he's really not. After that salute he gave these fans a couple of years ago. And, you know, Brian doesn't really care, though. You know, you can like him, not like him. Doesn't make a lot of difference to Brian Cox.
Did you get that idea that he doesn't care?
Yes.
It's a 3rd down and 10. Kelly able to step up and goes to the sideline. It is incomplete. The catch made out of bounds by Copeland, who was covered by Vincent.
And Copeland really wasn't even supposed to be the starter. We all anticipated that Andre Reed would be in the starting lineup, but he is going to miss his 10th consecutive game. That was close, but I do think the toes were off the ground at the time of the catch.
So both teams open up 3 plays and a punt. O.J. McDuffie is back, awaiting the punt from Chris Moore. And the fair catch indicated by McDuffie. A 36, 3 minutes, 7 seconds gone by in this first quarter. And Marino has thrown 21 touchdowns, picked off 12 times. Again, an injury-hit season for Marino, who is headed to the Pro Bowl once again. McDuffie in motion. And the give to Parmalee. Cornelius Bennett, who has successfully shifted his way inside, combining on that tackle with the nose man, Ted Washington.
And if there's a weakness on this Buffalo defense, it has been at the inside linebacker position. With the injury to Mark Maddox, Monty Brown, Marlo Perry trying to fill in there, but they were forced to put Cornelius Bennett back inside where they really didn't want to have to play him.
2nd down and 8 for the Dolphins. And Marino flings it. On sideline catch by McDuffie. O.J. McDuffie able to race inside the Buffalo 45-yard line. It's a 32-yard pass play.
And Don Shula telling us yesterday that it is now O.J. McDuffie who has become his big play receiver. He's working against the rookie Ken Irvin. Ken Irvin only in the ball game because of 2 injuries ahead of him to Jeff Burris and Marlon Kerner. So this has been a tough hit secondary for the Buffalo Bills.
Yes, Ken Irvin is a rookie from Memphis, a 4th-round draft pick. Bernie Parmalee shaken up on that play, and he's helped to the sideline. There's Bernie, who had a knee problem earlier this week, missed practice on Friday, and Terry Kirby has come on for Parmalee.
I don't think it's his knee. I think it's his head. He's trying to shake the cobwebs.
And a 1st down at the Buffalo 44. Marino got the time and fires with the catch and immediately decked by Bennett. Keith Byers, who has made it back successfully from knee surgery, went down in Game 6 last season, coming up with his 46th reception of the season and continues the consecutive game streak, now 127. So he pulls even with the big guy, the former Eagle, Harold Carmichael. 2nd down and 6 at the Bills 40. 5 minutes in, first quarter with no score. And this is Kirby reaching inside the 35, close to the marker. Monty Brown, Cornelius Bennett combined on the tackle.
Bernie Parmalee shaken up on this play, trying to throw a block. Looks like he may have just gotten hit in the head when Monty Brown was coming on the blitz, maybe a knee to the head, but putting the helmet back on, so apparently Bernie Parmalee okay, and he has been a major factor for the Dolphins this season. They have tried to be more balanced. They haven't exactly gotten that done, but he has a chance to become the first 1,000-yard rusher if he can get another 170 yards since Delvin Williams did it in 1978 for the Miami Dolphins.
And the referee Tom White calling for the measurement. See, it is inches shy of the first down. This past Monday night, the Dolphins beat Kansas City 13-6 in a critical game for Miami. It was not one of Dan Marino's better performances, but he did play well enough to win the game.
And the one thing the Dolphins offense didn't do in that ball game was take advantage of turnovers. Finally, the defense, after going 4 straight games without a turnover, got 3 in that first quarter against Kansas City, and the Miami Dolphins offense was only able to get 6 points out of it.
3rd down and pitches. Kirby. And he is stopped behind the line by Bruce Smith and David White.
Bruce Smith working against Richmond Webb, and one of the things that Richmond Webb said is that Bruce Smith is just so difficult to try and hook or reach block. That time Richmond almost overshot him, and Bruce Smith fast enough to come back inside and still make the play.
Now this would be a 52-yard field goal attempt, but Don Shula going for it. 4th down and less than a yard. And Kirby appears to be stopped. The Bills celebrating, and they will take over on down.
Last week it was the Miami Dolphins defense on 4th and 1 3 times that shut down the Kansas City Chiefs, and now this week 4th and 1 comes back to bite them. 2 straight times now on 4th and less than a foot. The Miami Dolphins cannot move the Buffalo Bills.
And we would like to welcome those of you who have been watching the Jets and the Houston Oilers as we take another look at that stoppage by the Buffalo Bills. Marv Albert and Chris Collinsworth from Rich Stadium in Buffalo. Apparently there were technical problems with the telecast. We're not talking about the Jet offense or defense, Chris, as should be pointed out. As you see Tasker on the end around. Pick up the 1st down. He goes for 11. Stopped by Louis Oliver.
And what a difference Steve Tasker has made for this team. 3 touchdown receptions over the past 2 ball games. Of course, filling in for the injured Andre Reed. And he has become one of Jim Kelly's favorite targets.
The Bills 1st down from their 47. Here's Thomas with the big hole. And he is able to rip through for another Buffalo 1st down. We saw the opening continuously last week in the game in St. Louis, particularly out of the shotgun where Thomas and Holmes were able to find lots of running room up the middle.
And just straight ahead push blocking on the part of the Buffalo Bills.
1st down at the 43-yard line. And again, Thomas, the ball carrier. 7:15 remaining in this opening quarter. The Dolphins and the Bills are scoreless, and Buffalo with a 2nd down and 6. Kelly with the short set, and again the good coverage by the Dolphins. The diving attempt is made. It is incomplete. Bill Brooks, the intended receiver, covered by Louis Oliver.
Not sure if he was trying to get that ball to Steve Tasker or Bill Brooks. Tasker was coming underneath, and then Bill Brooks just beyond. And those 2 guys really have been the story of the last couple of weeks for the Buffalo Bills and Jim Kelly. Neither of those guys were expected to be the starting wide receiver coming into this season.
Andre Reed continues to sit it out. It was hoped he would return for today's game off the fake on the end around. The pass completed to the tight end, Lonnie Johnson. Chris Singleton on the stop. That's good for 13, and another Buffalo 1st down.
Lonnie Johnson had a chance for a touchdown on that play. Jim Kelly's going to fake the reverse, and Lonnie Johnson just sneaks in behind. There's nobody behind him. The field is wide open. Jim Kelly tried to wave him deeper down the field. Instead, Johnson came back. Instead of a touchdown, a nice gainer.
So the Bills are 1st down at the 25 as Thomas is able to stutter step his way for a short pickup. Michael Stewart up from strong safety to make the stop. Last week, the Bills had the Rams off balance right throughout, the same as occurring here on this series. Jim Kelly last week with a superb game. The play selection excellent, and the play action passes and misdirection works so well, and they're doing it again, particularly on the reverses. 2nd down and 7 at the 22. Now the sweep for Thomas. able to break a tackle and is able to get down to the 20-yard line. He was able to rip by Brian Cox.
Well, Brian Cox just ran right by him. He had Thurman Thomas dead to rights, and Thurman ducked underneath it. The old Green Bay looking sweep, pulling both guards out and around, and Brian Cox never wrapped his arms. Wasn't much of an effort there to get Thurman Thomas to the ground.
8th play of the drive. It's a 3rd and 5 at the 20. As we approach 5 minutes to go in this first quarter, the draw for Thomas. And again, you saw the enormous hole up the middle. Thomas with the first down. He's tackled by Singleton and Cross. And it looks like Thurman was shaken up.
Well, the Miami defensive ends wanted to come rushing up the field. That time, Marco Coleman tried to take the outside route against John Fina. And then you have a Thurman Thomas to slip back inside. But, boy, what a dimension he adds to this offense. When he's healthy, the Buffalo Bills are a completely different team offensively.
Thurman able to hang in, looks all right. 6 carries for 32 yards, gets the call again, and slithers inside the 10. Short pickup. Brian Cox able to close the hole along with Chuck Klingbeil.
A lot of people wondering if Thurman Thomas' career was in decline. He had a lot of injury problems this season, and then last week against the Rams, he just exploded.
Here's Kelly on 2nd down. He has the tight end Johnson. And he took the hit right at the marker from Terrell Buckley. Michael Stewart also involved. Buckley playing for the injured J.B. Brown.
And Jim Kelly getting more and more respect for Lonnie Johnson. At the beginning of the season, Lonnie Johnson just kept screwing things up. Bad routes, dropping balls, whatever the case may be. But all of a sudden now, Lonnie Johnson has really dedicated himself to learning this offense, and you can tell Jim Kelly is beginning to believe in him again.
The Dolphins have been successful in this type of situation. In recent weeks, they have a 3rd and 1. Kelly with the fake. Incomplete. The pass thrown low, intended for the backup tight end, Tony Klein, who was a target last week in St. Louis.
And instead of going for the touchdown on this 4th and very short now, Marv Levy electing to kick the field goal. And I really can't disagree with this call. In a ball game like this, a big game, you always want to get out to the lead. You want to strike first. I honestly do not disagree with this.
Leaper will hold a 20-yard attempt for Christie, who's had his problems as of late, but this one is good. So the Bills take a 3-0 lead. 3-30. Bills were hoping for much worse weather to greet the Miami Dolphins. The kick returned by Irving Spikes. And the Spikes kept going. Bills thought they had him. He was able to break some tackles. And the return is good for 23 yards. Miami can clinch a playoff berth with a win here today, plus a loss by San Diego, and either a Denver loss or an Oakland loss. And those teams play later on or tonight, as Marino completes on 1st down to the tight end, Eric Green, but only a short advance met by the strong safety, Kurt Scholes.
And Kurt Scholes having to fill in for the injured Henry Jones. And anytime they want to bring a little extra pressure on this side, that sets up a hot read to Eric Green. And if his knee hadn't gone down, he would have been able to get up and play. But Kurt Scholes is not a very big guy, just over 200 pounds, and matched up against the 280-pound Eric Green today. Going to be a test.
And Kurt Scholes moving over to strong safety because of the injury suffered by Henry Jones. So Matt Darby is at free safety. 2nd down and 9. Pop with sack number 17.
Number 95 right there goes inside Eric Green, and nobody picks him up. Blown protection that time by the Miami Dolphins, and what a difference the Bryce Pop has made for the Buffalo Bills. Not only his sack numbers incredible, 17 leading the National Football League, but boy has he made Bruce Smith's life a whole lot easier as well.
Bryce Pop certainly a candidate for MVP honors or Defensive Player of the Year. Making it to the Pro Bowl for the second out. Fryer, Hill, McDuffie, and Clark. And this is a fired-up Buffalo crowd. Marino facing pressure. Diving catch is made. Irving Fryer doing it in front of Phil Johnson. It's good for 17. It's short of a first down.
Bruce Smith getting a lot of attention on the right side of your screen. The back helping. That gave Dan Marino just enough time to get this one off, but they're going to end up just short. And once again, the story of this game so far has been Miami's inability to run the football. 5 rushes, just 6 yards. Contrast that with the first time that these two teams played, and it was Bernie Parmalee and Terry Kirby who really got the job done.
And Kidd with the punt to Tasker. Good coverage by the Dolphins, but Tasker, always elusive, was able to put away and then was dropped. 45-yard punt, only a 2-yard return. Michael Stewart on the tackle of media during the news conference this past week.
Just to try and make the Dolphins feel a little better about coming up here.
Well, the Bills back to the offense, and Kelly able to complete for only a short pickup to Tasker right here. Let's check in with Greg Gumbel at our New York studio.
All right, Marv, in Detroit, the NFC's #1 offense is in gear again. Scott Mitchell 23 yards out to Johnny Morton, and the Lions increase their lead with a field goal and that touchdown. They lead the Jaguars 10-0 in the first, Marv.
All right, Greg, we resume with a second down and 9. Thurman Thomas breaking tackles. Running well here in the first quarter. Rips off 14 more before he's taken down by Lewis Oliver.
Well, Tim Bowens is supposed to be so big and bad right up the middle, and so far Jerry Ostrowski and Reuben Brown and Ken Hall, they're just taking the middle of this Miami defensive line and pushing them all over the field.
8 carries, 49 yards for Thomas, who ran for 129 last week. And that ball was tipped. Pass intended for Bill Brooks. And it brings up a 2nd and 10.
That time Tim Bowens got a nice push up the middle working against Ostrowski and was able to get a mid up there and knock that one down.
Tim Bowens, a surprising first-round pick last year after playing only 9 games of college football at Ole Miss. Again, the end around. Tasker has a first down. That's the 3rd time we've seen that play. Once on a fake, 2 times they've executed and executed well.
And Steve Tasker should go over and pat Glenn Parker, number 74, on the back. Pina with a huge block, and Parker just stayed all over Chris Singleton out there, and that's what made it fly.
And a season of 1,000 yards or better. Kelly with the time, and is able to float it out for the first down, completing to Russell Copeland. No, now they say incomplete. Not able to hold on. Would have been a 20-yard gain. Took a hit from Michael Stewart.
Wow, what a shot at the end of this thing by Michael Stewart. This is a catch all the way. Russell Copeland gets it. He beats Troy Benson on the play. Clean catch. I got it. I'm feeling good about life. And then kaboom. That's just great safety play. When you get that kind of safety play, boy, you put some thoughts in those wide receivers' minds as they're coming over the middle, and that's where Jim Kelly likes to throw it.
And it looked like it was Stewart who delivered the hit. Is the man who's shaken up. He's being helped off the field. Michael Stewart, one-time Los Angeles Ram. He spent 7 years with the Rams. This is 2nd season with the Dolphins. 2nd and 10. Thomas. Thurman Thomas able to size it up and then made his move and picks up the first down. Good block from Russell Copeland, and he goes for 15 more.
So right now, Thurman Thomas needs just 99 yards to become only the 3rd player to have 7 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. And Marv, I've seen the Bills a lot this season. When Thurman Thomas is healthy and running like this is a team with Super Bowl potential.
And again, Thomas inside the 30. Ryan Cox with the tackle of Thomas. So Thurman Thomas with his 10th carry, and he has now run for 70 yards.
Reuben Brown, the guard, with a wipeout block coming down against the nose tackle. And the Buffalo Bills are getting it going offensively. This is a football team that has become so exciting offensively here in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Second down and 4. Thomas on the draw. And he gets to the first down marker, met by Lewis Oliver. Lewis Oliver back in the starting lineup, replacing Gene Atkins, who fell out of favor after exploding on the sideline. Oliver, a guy who earlier in the season very unhappy about the lack of playing time, so he is now the starter, and Atkins comes in as the extra defensive back. That's the defensive coordinator, Tom Olivadotti, who's done much shuffling in the secondary. First down for the Bills, and it is Thomas this time trying the right side.
Yeah, there have been so many blow-ups on that Miami sideline. Both Brian Cox and Gene Atkins and Don Shula has said that those 2 incidents were an embarrassment to him, an embarrassment to those players. But Gene Atkins just is not happy here anymore. He feels like that he should be allowed to go. As a matter of fact, his agent has come out and said that if this coaching staff is here next season, that Gene Atkins wants to go away.
Second down and 8. Tasker with the inside handoff and scrambles for the first down. So Steve Tasker ends up in the backfield. You'll see him in motion, going to the handoff, and picks up the first down.
And Steve Tasker is dead to right in the backfield. He's going to run right dead smack into Jeff Cross and just bounce off. You don't play 11 years on special teams, go to the Pro Bowl every year without being tough. And he's just too tough for Jeff Cross that time.
You know, it's amazing. We're chatting with Steve yesterday after practice, and he told us he actually in his career at Northwestern caught only 1 ball, 1 reception. Kelly throwing incomplete. Crowd looking for a call as Copeland was covered by Vincent.
First glance, I thought Troy Vincent got there just a little bit early. No question about it. Should have been a pass interference call.
And you can hear the crowd reacting in that direction. Instead, the 12th play of the drive, 2nd and 10 at the 12-yard line. And again, the end around. Tasker with another reverse. And this time, the Dolphins are able to stop him. Terrell Buckley going from left to right. This is unbelievable.
Tom Olivadotti has to be shaking his head on the sideline. This is about the 4th or 5th time that they've run that reverse, and it has really been effective. And the one thing that it's going to do to this Miami defense is you don't know where to attack. You don't want to pursue. You can't over-pursue. You can't be aggressive on the defensive side of the football for fear that Tasker's going to come around the other way.
Third down and 8 at the 10. Kelly completing but short of the first down. Combining with Lonnie Johnson. Michael Stewart on the stop. So they come up short, and again, Steve Christie checks in.
And the problems continue for the Buffalo Bills in the red zone. They have been moving the football up and down the field, but they are the worst team in the National Football League in scoring touchdowns once they get inside the red zone. 45 trips coming in, just 17 touchdowns and 0 for 2 so far in this ball game.
So Christie with a 23-yard attempt in the first quarter, hit from 20. Tasker puts it down. And Christie extends to a 6-0 Buffalo lead. 6-0 lead on the Miami Dolphins. 10.5 remaining in the first half. Christie with the kickoff. Again, McDuffie and Spikes are back. And again, it is Spikes with the return. Irving Spikes first feeling his way and then making the move across the 30-yard line. Tim Tyndale involved on the stop, a 26-yard return by Spikes.
Marv Levy not happy at all on the sideline. He thought he got robbed when Troy Vincent got away with the pass interference call down there. That would have given the Bills a first down and goal on about the 3 or 4 yard line. Vincent's just going to reach in a little bit early and keep Copeland from getting that right arm up. Should have been first and goal right there.
Miami with only 6 yards on the ground. Buffalo running effectively, 115. Thanks to 77 for Thurman Thomas. And the Dolphins from their 32-yard line. Off the play fake, Byers. And Byers gets to the 38, met by Pop. Right here, let's check in once again with Greg Gumbel. Greg?
All right, Marv, emotions running high in Cleveland, as you know, and the Browns draw first blood. First play, second quarter, Vinny Testaverde, 1-yard touchdown pass to Frank Hartley with the extra point. It's Cleveland 7, Cincinnati nothing. Marv?
Finale at Cleveland Stadium, a wild scene right throughout the morning leading to the start of the game in Cleveland. Here it's a 6-0 Buffalo lead. The Dolphins second down and 4 at the 38-yard line. Parmalee picking up a couple. Smith on the stop along with Pop.
Marv, the first game, the Miami Dolphins dominated on the ground, and so far today it has been Thurman Thomas and the Buffalo Bills who have gotten it done. 7+ yards per carry. What a difference the Terminator makes. Didn't play in the first game against the Miami Dolphins, but every time he lines up against this team, he just makes them look bad.
That was back on October 29th in Miami. Miami pulling away in the second half, beat Buffalo 23-6. Thomas sidelined by injury in that contest. Third down and 1, and Parmalee off the pitch has a first down.
Parmalee, the ball carrier.
Ray Parmalee tripped up by the inside linebacker Marlo Perry. Since that earlier meeting, Buffalo has gone on to win 4 of its 6 games. And in that first meeting back in October, Dan Marino made his return from the knee and hip injuries as Miami won the game after they were tied at the half at 6. First down at the 43-yard line. 8:20 left in the first half. The Bills 6, the Dolphins nothing. Off the delay, Parmalee, and he brings across the 45, met by the same combination, Pop and Smith.
Bruce Smith, one of the theories is that you have to run at him. He's too quick to run away from him. And there's Eric Green, one of the best blocking tight ends ever to play in the National Football League. And Bruce Smith just gave him a little forearm shiver and completely knocked him sideways. A lot of people talk about Bryce Pop, and certainly he has had the year this year and all the stats. But when we talked to Tom Olivedade, we talked to Richmond Webb yesterday, they said Bruce Smith is still the guy that we're most concerned about.
And Webb, a guy who's had pretty good success over the years against Smith. Marino able to complete to Fryer. Matt Darby with the tackle of Irving Fryer, but it's good for 19 and a Miami first down.
And Irving Fryer, who has had his share of problems with drops this season, 8 on the year, comes up with a beautiful catch right there. Irving Fryer has not been the same kind of big play receiver that he was early in the season for Dan Marino, but certainly comfortable in the cold, played most of his career in New England.
First down at the Buffalo 35. Marino 7 of 8. 84 yards. Off the play fake. Marino goes to the other side, and it's broken up. And Urban, the rookie from Memphis, getting the hand on it, keeping it away from Fryer.
Wade Phillips told me a couple of weeks ago, he said, this Ken Irvin kid is just too good. I got to find a way to get him on the field. And then Jeff Burris got hurt, Marlon Kerner got hurt, so all of a sudden the rookie Ken Irvin is the starter, and he has come up huge early in this ball game. Dan Marino keeps trying to pick on him, and every time he does, Ken Irvin makes a play.
And a 4th-round draft pick out of Memphis. Second down and 10 at the 35-yard line. That is McDuffie in motion. Marino's pass over overthrown, intended for Pomeroy. And a penalty marker down against the Dolphins.
Well, some offensive guys belong on defense.
Holding. Number 86. Offense. 10 yards. Second down.
Eric Green right here is going to do a beautiful job of tackling Bryce Pop. There you go, form tackle. That's what Brian Cox should have done earlier in the game.
So it is a second down and 20. At the Buffalo 45-yard line. 6:40 remaining. In the first half, the Bills 6, the Dolphins nothing. And Marino's pass was tipped. Incomplete, intended for Fryer. Like David White, who was leaping, got a piece of it.
And David White getting a chance to start today for the injured Sam Rogers. And David White sort of had an interesting trail through the National Football League. He was signed as a free agent by the Buffalo Bills coming out of Nebraska, waived by the Bills. Then all of a sudden the Patriots got a chance at him. They waived him. He came back here, and now he's getting a chance to start in the biggest game of the year.
David White's parents live in Jakarta, Indonesia. Dad works as a chemical engineer in Jakarta. Third down and 20. And Marino with a shovel pass, able to hit Kirby. And Kirby taken down well short of a first down by the combination of Jeffcoat and Bennett. Picked up 12 on the play.
If you're Tim Ruddy, the center, the last thing in the world that you want to see is Bruce Smith lined up, cocked right over your head. He just comes ripping through there, and Marino does a great job of stepping up and out of the way of Bruce Smith and just creating something to Terry Kirby.
And it's a 4th and 7 from the 32, and here's Pete Stoyanovich, who, like Steve Christie, has had a roller coaster ride this season. 49-yard field goal attempt. The holder able to put it down, and Stojanovich's kick. Good! Stoyanovich from 49 yards away. This first half, and the Bills with a 6-3 lead. The Bills receiving a kickoff for the first time. Holmes and Tyndale back. Nice.
They're getting him, Jim Jeffcoat. Atta, baby.
Returned by Corey Lucci.
And one of the up men who looked like Corey Lucci on the return. All right, Buffalo back to the offense, and Tasker with the catch covered by Buckley. Second catch of the day for Steve Tasker.
The thing that makes me laugh is at the beginning of this season, there was open scoffage about signing Steve Tasker to a $900,000 a year contract. They said, this guy just chases kicks. Why would you sign him for that much? And boy, has he turned out to be more valuable than that.
Herman Thomas was looking for the first down, but hit back behind the line by Brian Cox. Brian Cox, who has certainly made the successful transition to middle linebacker, made the move last year, returned to the Pro Bowl. Did not like the move at first, but responded well, and he's back in the Pro Bowl this season.
And it was his play on 4th and 1 against Atlanta that seems to have turned around, at least temporarily, the year for the Dolphins.
Third down and 2, and here's Thomas to the other side. And picks up a first down. Louis Oliver with the wraps on Thurman Thomas. Let's check in with Greg Gumbel.
All right, Marv, and we take you to the Astrodome in Houston. Rookie quarterback Steve McNair, making his first NFL start, unleashes a 34-yard touchdown pass to Haywood Jeffries. The Oilers already had a field goal on the board. They now lead the New York Jets 10-0 in the second, Marv.
All right, a game that has the Jets battling for a #1 pick. Bill Brooks with his first catch. Troy Vincent on the coverage. It'll be a 2nd down and 4 at midfield.
Well, Marv, the guy that really has had the pressure on him this season has been Kent Hull, the center for the Buffalo Bills. He has young guys, Reuben Brown on one side, Jerry Ostrowski on the other, and he's the one that's directing traffic up there.
And the rookie Derek Holmes, who just came on for Thurman Thomas to provide a breather for Thurman with his first carry of the day, and has a first down.
And here's what we saw last week against the Rams. We were there calling that game that you get Thurman Thomas in there and they run the counter tray, they run the slow motion kind of offense, and all of a sudden Derek Holmes at 230 plus pounds just jacks one right up in there, and teams aren't ready for it.
First down play, and again it is Holmes. Derek Holmes, a 7th-round draft pick, actually the Bills' 2nd pick on round number 7. Been a very exciting player, had a strong preseason, emerged as a major surprise, and as you mentioned, provides a change of pace after Thurman Thomas.
Well, he is Kenneth Davis now. You know, for years it was Kenneth Davis that came in and gave Thurman Thomas a break, and now it's Derek Holmes, and he's getting the job done.
2nd and 7. And Kelly airs it out and is almost intercepted by Terrell Buckley, but a flag is thrown. Pass intended for Tony Klein.
Michael Stewart's pointing at Steve Tasker, and Steve Tasker's pointing back at Michael Stewart. But it's not often this one goes against the offensive guy.
Pass interference. Number 35. Defense. First down.
So Steve Tasker's point was the one that worked out.
Yeah. Michael Stewart, number 35, is called on the penalty, and the Bills awarded a first down at the Dolphin 17-yard line. It's the Bills 6 and the Dolphins 3 with 2:34 left in the first half. Thurman Thomas back on the field as the lone D-back and gets the call. Moves to the 15, met by Chris Singleton. Singleton able to make his return Monday night in the game against Kansas City after he missed a game with a shoulder problem. 133 yards on the ground for the Buffalo Bills, led by Thomas. 3rd down and 8. Thurman has 84 yards in this first half.
They're going to take a timeout and talk this one over for the 2-minute warning.
So 2 minutes remaining in the first half. Here's Thomas. Works his way to the 10-yard line. It'll be a 3rd and 3. Trace Armstrong on the stop.
Well, a couple of things that work now for the Buffalo Bills. Yes, they want to try and score a touchdown, but you also want that clock to tick down as far as possible, not to give Dan Marino a chance to come back the other way.
16 carries, 89 yards for Thomas. Make it a 3rd and 4. The ball placed at the 11. Brooks in motion. Flag is thrown, and Kelly throws it away.
Flags on the play.
Unbelievable. I mean, absolutely unbelievable for a veteran ball player to jump off sides in this situation. It looked like Trace Armstrong just jumped. Marv, we saw it last week against the Rams. I went back and counted them. 6 different times Jim Kelly was able to get the Rams to jump off sides, and Trace Armstrong knows better.
Offsides, number 93. Defense, 5 yards.
3rd down in less than 5. All the defensive players have to say to each other, don't jump, don't jump, don't jump. Now you give the Buffalo Bills 1st and goal at the 6. Wow.
And the Bills with their 13th first down of the half. The Dolphins with only 3. Again, Brooks in motion. Thomas inside the 5-yard line. Thurman Thomas stopped by Chuck Klingbeil.
Thurman Thomas runs this counter tray as well as anybody. This was just a muddled mess out here. But he shows a lot of patience on the play, and even John Feen is going to help just drag him a little further along. They're also milking this clock. This is brilliant inside the 20 work by the Bills.
And the ball just outside the 2, 45 seconds to go in the half. Thomas is in for the touchdown. And And again, the good second effort.
And Trace Armstrong knows that that one is on his shoulders. They would have had to try their third field goal, and instead it's Thurman Thomas, as only Thurman Thomas can do, just finding a way. No real hole there. Gets his head down, leans forward, and puts his team on the board.
And for Thomas, his 7th touchdown of the season. He has run for 94 yards on 18 carries in the first half. Here's Christie putting it through with
where you can.
First half winding down as Spikes returns the kickoff. Irving Spikes taken down by linebacker David White, running for 18 yards. 34 seconds left in the half.
Take you right inside the line of scrimmage here, and as we have seen so often, when they need a yard or two, they love running behind that rookie, Reuben Brown, and the guy that made it all possible, Trace Armstrong, and he knows it.
Buffalo Bills have won 7 of the last meetings against the Miami Dolphins here at Rich Stadium. They have won 15 of the last 19 against Miami overall. That dates back to 1987, and they're up here 13-3. Marino completing. Irving Fryer reaching out for the first down. Hansen and Bennett able to make the stop. Timeout is called. Sideline, and apparently Fryer just short of a first down on the reception. Took the hit from Hansen.
Coming in from the backside. I don't know if Fryer ever saw it.
2nd and less than a yard. Miami has 1 timeout remaining. 25 seconds to go in the half. Marino trying to look for the deep receiver, then give it up to Kirby. And Kirby able to get out of bounds. Picked up 16 on the play. A little shovel pass to Terry Kirby.
That's just clever quarterback play right there by Dan Marino. Looking to the right side all the way, and Kirby more or less just on the backside, his assignment to help out on Bruce Smith, and all of a sudden Bruce Smith goes underneath. Kirby turns around and picks up about 20 yards.
And it leaves the Dolphins with 15 seconds to operate. 1 timeout remaining. First down at the Buffalo 40-yard line. Marino threw it away. And the Bills look for intentional grounding. Flag is thrown. Marino is down and looks to be hurting.
And Bernie's on the sideline getting it ready. It looks like it's his left hand. And Dan Marino does not stay on the ground if he's not hurt. I don't think there's any question it was intentional grounding on the play.
Intentional grounding. Number 13, 10 yards. Lost it down.
The pressure coming from inside Phil Hansen. It's really difficult to tell what Phil may have done. Maybe when he reached around, he grabbed that offhand and may have just yanked a finger and possibly dislocated. I'm just not sure. That's what, right there, you could see that Phil Hansen, when Dan Marino came down to try and get away with that left hand, hit it right on top of his helmet, and that's where the injury occurred. And he immediately grabbed for it.
Dan Marino has had an injury hit season, being checked over on the sideline as Bernie Kosar has come on with only 10 seconds remaining in this first half.
Well, when you're down 13-3, the one thing that you don't want to see is number 13 sitting there on the sideline. You know, Dan Marino actually, against the Buffalo Bills, has a better record in this stadium than he does in Joe Robbie Stadium. He's 5-5 here, 5-8 in Joe Robbie.
Miami has just used its final timeout. Dan Marino this season, Chris, has made it back from the arthroscopic surgery on his right knee. Also bothered by a sore left hip. And now they're looking at the hand.
Who made the game-saving play last week against Kansas City has been the one that everyone has picked on when they played against the Miami Dolphins. But Jim Kelly telling us yesterday, you have to be careful because they give him a lot of help.
Oh, the snap was fumbled and recovered by the Dolphins. Steve Entman coming up with the football, and Miami takes over.
And that's exactly the kind of break that the Miami Dolphins needed to start the second half. For whatever reason, the exchange just didn't happen. And then Reuben Brown, who was pulling around on the counter tray, got between Jim Kelly and the football, so he couldn't go dive back on.
Buffalo's first turnover of the day. Dan Marino making his return, playing with the dislocated finger on the left hand, goes to the pitch. Parmalee stopped by Pop. Critical game for the Miami Dolphins, who were headed for disaster just several weeks ago. They started the season at 4-0. There was talk of Super Bowl. Then they lose 6 of the next 9. Marino was sidelined by the injured hip, had the knee problem. They have won their last 2 over Atlanta and Kansas City. Even if they lose today, it would not eliminate them from the playoff berth. Parmalee tried to turn the corner, but could not. But a loss would certainly make it difficult. Thomas Smith able to cut off Bernie Parmalee.
Well, I tell you, the thing that's going to eliminate the Dolphins from a playoff possibility is if they can't run the football any better than this. Right now, Bruce Smith and Bryce Pop and this Bills defense is just coming up and making plays at the line of scrimmage. We've seen the Bills offensive line displace Miami's defense. It is not happening on the other side. Dan Marino, this ball game is just going to fall on his shoulders. They can't run it.
How about Parmalee? 7 rushes for only 7 yards. 3rd down and 11. And Marino stepping up to complete for the first down. A clutch pass by Marino. It is good for 18, completing with Gary Clark.
And Gary Clark, who was so valuable as a 3rd receiver earlier in the season, has been bothered by groin and hamstring problems. They've been keeping him out of practice. The veteran, he knows what to do on the football field, and time after time, though, in the first half of the season, he made plays just like that in clutch situations.
Longtime member of the Washington Redskins, Gary Clark, with his first reception of the day and a first down for Miami at the Buffalo 17. The Bills with a 13-3 lead. We are early in the 3rd. Marino completing to the tight end Green. Stopped by Monty Brown. Eric Green with his 3rd catch.
And this is where Eric Green can be so dangerous, just coming across the middle of the field and forcing the other team just to make the tackle. That time, instead of Kurt Scholes being on him, they end up with the linebacker, Monty Brown, and Monty Brown, the strongest linebacker on this team. But Eric Green, at 280-plus pounds, if he can break 1 tackle, can create some big plays.
Pickup of 7, 2nd down, and 3. The ball at the Buffalo 10. Parmalee stopped again.
Bernie Parmalee, the ball carrier.
Bernie Parmalee not able to get going. Phil Hansen and Kurt Scholes combining on the tackle.
You know, Phil Hansen, it was reported in the newspaper earlier this week that he was cut. And Phil shows up in the locker room and he said, "What do you mean I was cut?" I said, "Oh yeah, clear out your locker. I just read in the USA Today, you got cut." Then he got calls from all over the country. Teams wanted to sign him. His mother called. She was all upset. Everybody was all bothered. He got cut.
Well, they did run an apology, I noticed, earlier in the week. 3rd down and 2. The pitch for Parmalee. Trying to get to the outside, but could not. He's cut off by the rookie Ken Irvin.
Ken Irvin with a monster game so far in relief of Marlon Kerner, the young rookie who Wade Phillips said had to get him into the ball game just one-on-one right here. This is just football in its purest form. One-on-one, the form tackle, and you force the field goal kicker onto the field. Great play by Kenny Irvin.
4th down and 4, so here is Stoyanovich to attempt from 30 yards away. Earlier hit from 49. Kidd puts it down. And the
Warmest guy around here.
Bills 13 of the Dolphins 6 with 9:39 left, third quarter. Tim Tyndall, number 33, and Derek Holmes, number 44, are back deep, awaiting the kick from Pete Stoyanovich. And taken by Holmes to the 25. Turn back. 12-yard return. Look at Brian Cox, who has certainly had a fiery season. Once again, several outbursts on and off the field. He says he has a dual personality. We talked about that with him yesterday.
Well, one is a person that doesn't give a damn when he steps on the football field. He's going to do whatever it takes to win and be the best player he can in order to help the organization. And other players, the family man, you know, the person that just enjoys doing the charity work and being himself and, you know, getting away from football. So those are my two personalities.
Well, as you see, Kelly complete to Tasker. Tackled by Buckley. A comment on Brian Cox. To this point, it's been a low-key day for Cox.
Yeah, and I thought he was more relaxed in that Monday night game last week against Kansas City, in that have all the tirades, and he sort of internalized some of that emotion, which is what he needs to do. He got embarrassed by his comments after the prior game where he sort of cussed out the media in the locker room.
Thurman Thomas is stopped. The front four of the Dolphins able to get to Thurman.
Excuse me, Mark, but it was Brian Cox who accused this team in a team meeting a couple of weeks ago of not having any heart, not having any pride, not caring enough about what they did on the field. And then Brian Cox on the field, who made the play against Atlanta that started this winning streak.
2nd down and 10 at the 38-yard line. A completion to Brooks, but he is stopped in his tracks by Cox. And you can hear the reaction to the announcement on the public address that it was Cox that made the tackle.
And this is what middle linebackers love to do. Get a little piece of that wide receiver beat coming over the middle. I remember Jack Lambert used to hit me and just lay on top of me and just wouldn't let me just talk to me the whole time, just laughing at me.
It's a 3rd down and 3, and it's picked off. The interception by Calvin Jackson. Calvin Jackson with his first interception of the season, and then ran it for 23 yards.
Marco Colvin is going to get the deflection on the ball, and then Calvin Jackson will come up with the interception. Calvin Jackson playing the nickelback today for Frankie Smith, and every time Calvin Jackson gets a chance, he makes things happen. Earlier in the season, they had some people nicked up. He came in against Pittsburgh and got a game ball in that one, and comes back right here with a chance to play and makes another huge play for the Dolphins.
And that is first career interception. Spent most of last year and a good portion of this season on the Dolphin practice squad. So another turnover for Buffalo here in the 3rd quarter. Marino going deep for Eric Green for the touchdown.
Wow, the ball came out, Marv, right at the goal line, and the officials were really hesitating whether or not to call it a touchdown, but on both sides, they gave it to him. Very, very close indeed, and there's the big weapon.
And then lost the ball.
Crossed the plane and then lost the ball. Beautiful throw by Dan Marino right over the top, and we talked about it earlier in the ball game. In the zone defense, the problems these linebackers would have with Eric Green. I think that's a good call, though. You could see that Eric Green had crossed the plane. Good call by the official.
Took the hit from Matt Darby, but Green was over the goal line. And Stoyanovich has tied the game at 13. So the Dolphins have come from behind, led by Marino, who is now 13 for 17, 170 yards. Tied it at 13 off the touchdown pass from Marino to Green. Here's Holmes on the kick return. Flag is tossed as Holmes gets across the 30-yard line, taken down by Pat Johnson.
Laundry all over the field, and it's Carwell Gardner who blocked in the back, as you see so often. Just crazy.
You're annoyed.
You know, I mean, the guy who was running with his back turned, just do it. Let's go back to the touchdown, though, for a moment. And Eric Green, no question about it, he gets just over the end line, breaks the plane before the hit to knock the ball free. Good call by the officials. But if you want a little better feel for how the officials have to make that call and the time and the pace at which they see it. But they got it right. And I really thought that Eric Green might have a chance to have a breakout game here, because the problems that the Bills have on defense is that Monty Brown and Marlo Perry, their inside linebackers, don't cover very well.
Thurman Thomas stopped by Brian Cox. Well, that has been the concern in talking to the coaching staff. Perry and Brown have actually alternated at the linebacker position, and today Sam Rogers out, so David White has been going at linebacker. They have Pop on the outside and Bennett still inside. Once again, Thomas, and he finds the hole, has a first down, and a flag is thrown. Oliver with the tackle. 12-yard pickup, 107 yards on the ground for Thurman Thomas.
Face mask, number 25, 5 yards, and the end of the play, first down.
Well, Lewis Oliver called for the face mask, putting the finishing touches on this stop of Thomas.
What's the pull-around block by Ken Hall, the center? Just takes out Chris Singleton, and Thurman Thomas off and running again.
First down at the 31. Kelly changing the play. Thomas again. Out to the 39. Looked like he bobbled the ball, but was able to cover up Stewart with the tackle.
He sure did, and that ball was on the ground, and I think Lonnie Johnson was the one that came up with the fumble recovery. Right at the end of the play, Thurman's going to take the hit. That ball's out of there, and this is a heads-up play by Lonnie Johnson.
Second down and 3. Saw some movement on the line. No flag thrown. Thomas trying to dance his way. He's right at the marker where he was stopped by Singleton.
Go back to the fumble one more time. The hit by Michael Stewart. The ball comes out, and it's just laying there. Louis Oliver thought he was going to get it, and Lonnie Johnson just beat him to it. That would have been a heck of a way for the Buffalo Bills, who have already had a disastrous start to this second half, to lose another one.
And Louis Oliver hurting. This Miami secondary that has been hard hit by injury. J.B. Brown sitting it out today. Terrell Buckley in the starting lineup. Brown out with a knee problem. So Gene Atkins comes on for Louis Oliver. Buffalo did pick up the first down. First and 10 at the 42-yard line with just under 6 minutes to go. Third quarter. The Dolphins and the Bills tied at 13. Holmes try to work his way to find some open space, but Chris Singleton getting the wraps on Derek Holmes.
You know, the one thing that Mean Joe Green, the defensive line coach of the Dolphins, has talked to this team about is that we have to be more physical when we play against the Buffalo Bills. You can't allow these guys to just come off the ball and push us around. And so far, that's exactly what we've seen.
And Kelly able to release Lonnie Johnson on the catch. Very short pickup. Michael Stewart made the tackle. Kelly feeling the pressure from Marco Coleman.
And if the defensive line, Mean Joe Green there, but if the defensive line, which he coaches, if they can attack one spot on the Buffalo Bills, it's John Fina at the left tackle, and they really haven't been trying to take advantage of that enough in this ballgame.
3rd and 5. It is incomplete. Lonnie Johnson complaining that he was interfered with by Brian Cox. No call made.
Wow. Mark Levy can't believe it, and neither can I. Brian Cox was all over Lonnie Johnson. That ball's in the air when he's grabbing the right arm back out of there. No question about it. Pass interference, and the Dolphins get away with another one.
So Chris Moore on to punt. O.J. McDuffie back at his 12. And a beauty by Moore. Fair catch made by McDuffie.
Earlier in this ball game, and so there really is not as many penalties called in this game. Maybe it actually works out better.
Miami from their 13-yard line. Parmalee just cannot get going. Just a couple of yards. David White on the stop.
There's a great matchup going on between Richmond Webb and Bruce Smith, and Bruce Smith was banged up a little bit at the end of this play. I'm not sure exactly what happened. He almost made the play in the backfield, but he got up very slowly and is just now getting back to the huddle.
Second and 6. Marino to the sideline, and Clark could not come up with it. Covered by Irvin. Dan Marino now 13 of 18, 173 yards, including a touchdown.
Bruce Smith with the inside move, and they're trying to get some pressure on Dan Marino right up the gut because Dan likes to step up into his throws. Another nice play out there by Ken Irvin. But really, to tell you the truth, there's just a drop by Gary Clark.
3rd and 6, and they're on their feet in Buffalo. This crowd has been charged up from the start. Marino from the shotgun. In trouble and taken down. Hit down back at the 7. Sacked for the 2nd time today. Phil Hansen, who has had a big game, comes up with a sack that's 8.5 for the season for Hansen.
You know, you get so concerned with Bryce Pop and Bruce Smith, and you double team those guys, and then all of a sudden, here comes Phil Hansen right up the gut. One of the best defensive front 4, front 5s that you're going to see to ever play the game of football. Boy, can these guys come.
So John Kidd back in his end zone. Steve Tasker awaits the punt. A line drive. Tasker had to chase it. Tasker has great balance, but good coverage by the Dolphins. 46-yard punt, 7-yard return we have facing the Miami Dolphins.
He absolutely has. And 169 yards on the ground today total for the Buffalo Bills. 16 for Miami.
1st and 10 at the 46-yard line with 3:05 to go in the 3rd. And Kelly throwing long range has Brooks down at the 21. Oliver with the tackle, a 25-yard pass play.
A 25-yard game.
They go with the fake of the counter tray. Play action off that. The linebackers are sucked up. Leaves plenty of room underneath for Billy Brooks, who has just been phenomenal this year. 11 receiving touchdowns, all in the last 10 games. And where would they be without him?
Again, the end around for Tasker. And able to make something out of it once again. Terrell Buckley with the stop. An 8-yard pickup for Tasker.
One of the things against this K-gun is you take out a linebacker. And ordinarily, Dwight Hawyer, number 50, would be the linebacker on this side who would have contained responsibility. But now, instead, it's a defensive back, and all of a sudden, the Bills have taken advantage of it.
Second and about 1.5 yards, and Thomas able to lead his way for the first down. How about Steve Tasker? He has carried the ball 5 times for 46 yards.
Very solid guy, of course, returns punts as well, so you trust him with the football.
First and goal from inside the 10. Kelly making a change. And it comes to Thomas. Picked up a couple. Met by Klingbeil. Time running down in this third quarter. 1 minute and 25 remaining. Buffalo Bills, with a victory today, would clinch the AFC East. A loss by Miami would not eliminate them, but certainly would put them in a very difficult situation. Miami can clinch a playoff berth with a win over Buffalo plus help from elsewhere. And here's Thomas. And a flag is down. Bowens on the stop. Miami can clinch a playoff spot with the win today plus a loss by San Diego.
Holding. Number 68. Offense. 10 yards. Second down.
Well, that is Corbin Lucina, who alternates at the right guard spot with Jerry Ostrowski.
Corbin Lucina, the right guard, pulling out, and he's going to make the hit on Marco Coleman and then get the arms wrapped around. And the officials are watching the holding very closely because they've had to account for the fact that they don't have the umpire, who traditionally is the referee that makes those calls.
On the second penalty on Buffalo. Second down and goal from the 18. Fake of the reverse, and Kelly is on target but short of the first down. Connecting with Lonnie Johnson, met by Michael Stewart.
And it's important for Marv Levy and the Bills to take their shot here. It's easy to play for a field goal, but you just get the feeling now that Miami and Dan Marino are starting to get their offense back on track. And for Don Shula, this is the big play in the ball game. Of course, so much riding on this game for him personally as well.
Third and goal at the 11. Final seconds of the quarter. Kelly to the end zone. Touchdown! Thurman Thomas with his second touchdown of the game.
That's excited about the game of football.
Well, final seconds of the third quarter. Here's the return by O.J. McDuffie. 13 lead, and you recall right before the half, some question about the physical status of Dan Marino, who did suffer a dislocated finger but came right out, got right back into it in the third quarter. He's played well. First down at the 32-yard line as Marino sets up and is able to complete a sideline pattern with O.J. McDuffie. Bryce Pop finally got him down. It's a first down for the Dolphins.
And Thomas Smith just fanned on the tackle at the end of the play. McDuffie, who Coach Shula was telling us was his big play guy now, has come up with a couple in this ball game. You see just the strength of O.J. McDuffie. But for Dan Marino, well, this game really takes on a lot of importance. Dan Marino knows he doesn't get that many more shots at a Super Bowl title. And right now, the Buffalo Bills are standing in his way.
Picked up 18 on that last play. Here's Byers on the inside handoff. So Byers picks up the first down. It's inside the 35. A 16-yard pickup. Darby and Smith combined on the tackle.
Everyone anticipating that Dan Marino is going to throw the ball. Jeff Coat comes up the field, and Keith Byers goes right underneath, and he is a load once he gets going.
And Chris, the 16 yards by Byers equals Miami's rushing total over the first 3 quarters. That's how bad it's gone. McDuffie is to the right. Pryor to the left. First down at the Buffalo 34. Marino with the audible. And then fumbles the snap. Buffalo has it. The Bills have recovered.
The officials are talking about something.
There's a flag down at the far side of the field.
If there's motion against the Dolphins, it may save this play. It would blow it dead, and the play wouldn't count.
There is no play. 5-yard penalty. Illegal snap on the center. There was no play. Double hit. 5 yards. Still first down.
So the center, Tim Ruddy, is going to double pump the football, and that's going to save this play. Dan Marino got rushed. He tried to audible, looked back up. Only 4 seconds remained on the play clock. And then Tim Ruddy gets a little excited and gives it the double pump. They blow it dead. Good call by the officials. But what a break for the Dolphins.
Marv Levy continues to discuss it. It is now a 1st and 15 for Miami.
That's the best 5-yard penalty that the Miami Dolphins have ever gotten in their lives.
The ball at the Buffalo 39 with a minute and a half gone by in the 4th. Marino, slingshot pass intended for Byers. Had a bit too much on it. Byers covered by Bennett.
And Eric Green was running wide open down the middle of the field, and Dan Marino just felt like he just didn't quite have the time to get him the football. They need to go back to work with Eric Green. He had the touchdown earlier, and he's a big guy working against Kurt Scholes, who is not used to playing the strong safety position, not used to those kind of big guys. And Marv Levy still working on those officials.
Yes, Scholes had strong safety for the injured Henry Jones. Darby is the free safety. Marino 14 of 20, 190 yards. And the play blown dead. The referee is Tom White.
False start. Center, 5 yards. Still second down.
Tim Ruddy had a good penalty and a bad penalty. Ted Washington, 315 pounds, sort of flinches at him. That didn't look like Ruddy. It looked like everybody else moved before he snapped.
It sets it back to a 2nd and 20. At the 44, still in Buffalo territory. Marino's pass deflected, incomplete. Bruce Smith getting a piece of it.
The walking, talking nightmare for quarterbacks around this league for a long time. Even if he doesn't hit you in the back of the head, you always feel his presence. And really, Richmond Webb doing his job. You can't ask Richmond Webb to do anything better than that. And still Bruce Smith makes the play.
3rd and 20. At the Buffalo 44. Marino is taken down for the 3rd time. Combination of Hansen and Pop combining on the sack.
But when Bruce Smith takes his inside move, it causes such a disruption. At the bottom of your screen, he's going to come back down inside, and all the linemen sort of lose their man, and then all of a sudden Phil Hansen comes off and makes the sack. So even though Bruce Smith doesn't make the play, he forces 2 to take him. Richmond Webb came down, followed him too far inside. Hansen comes around for the sack.
So here's the punt by John Kidd. Fair catch. Steve Tasker, a 36-yard push is on the sideline. Bills 20, the Dolphins 13. As the Buffalo starts out 1st and 10 at their 14-yard line. Kelly throwing deep. The pass intended for Tasker. Jim Kelly, who is still bothered by the after effects of that sore shoulder, has gone deep a couple of times here this afternoon.
But just to flash it, and I think you see a little bit of the arm problem of Jim Kelly on this throw. He really had Tasker, but he left this ball back inside. It drifts inside, and Tasker had a chance to make the play, but you could tell that he could see Louis Oliver out of the corner of his eye, and Jim Kelly knows that that was a bad throw.
Second down play. Thomas tried to get to the outside and stopped at the line by Tim Bowens.
This is a Miami Dolphin defense, and in particular Tom Olivadotti, their defensive coordinator, who has taken a lot of criticism over the years. But actually, statistically, the Dolphins are better than the Buffalo Bills. They've given up the exact same number of points coming in, and the Dolphins have given up fewer yards.
3rd and 9. Kelly getting the protection. Finds the tight end, Tony Klein. Lost it. Recovered by Chris Singleton. And Singleton runs it down to the 11-yard line.
Every time you want to give up on the Miami Dolphins this year, they make another play. And the officials are in another huddle. I don't know if, but apparently the Bills are now walking off the field, and it's like this one is going to stand.
Tony Klein, the rookie from Stanford, who got into the offense last week with a couple of receptions. He has been a target here today. Good hit by Louis Oliver.
There is no infraction on the play. The pass was ruled incomplete. 4th down.
Whoa.
Wow. So the Bills get to punt this football away. Tony Klein, the catch. Oh my goodness. Take one more look at it. That's a terrible call. That's a fumble on the play. That should be Miami's football. He catches the ball, both feet get down. I just disagree with that.
And Moore just did get it off. McDuffie let it bounce, and then it is down.
On that 4 call.
Miami's been able to take advantage of 2 Buffalo turnovers to get back into it. Now 1st down at midfield. And Marino to a wide-open, diving O.J. McDuffie. Good adjustment by McDuffie to come up with the catch, covered by Darby. An 18-yard pickup and a 1st down.
This time the protection holds. Anytime you're running those deep crossing routes, you should go over and pat your offensive lineman on the back. That's a heck of a catch by O.J. McDuffie, who's been terrific here today. But that's a play that takes about 4 seconds to develop, and that time Bruce Smith and company couldn't get there.
McDuffie now in motion. 1st down at the 33-yard line. Around for McDuffie. And he took a hard hit from Marlo Perry.
I want you to name another defensive lineman in football that runs down O.J. McDuffie from the backside. Bruce Smith is going to see the reverse happen, get knocked off balance, and still be able to run down a wide receiver from the backside. That's just unbelievable. I mean, how many guys that big can run like that?
Slowed him down, and then Perry able to line him up for the hit. 2nd and 10 at the 33. Byers on an inside handoff. It worked last time. Just a short advance here as he was met by Bryce Pop.
So, okay, now you got it on the other side. You say, all right, we're going to go block Bruce Smith and get him handled. And Bryce Pop's going to come around and basically run down the play from the other side. Really reminds you a lot of Kevin Green and Greg Lloyd with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The fact that had the 2 guys on the outside, there's nowhere to hide.
It'll be a 3rd and 8 at the 31-yard line. Terry Kirby has come on for Miami. And Marino looking for, oh, what a catch by Keith Byers. He led Byers who was able to beat Darby. It's a 25-yard pass play and a 1st and goal for the Dolphins.
The Buffalo Bills are going to come with some blitzes on the top side. That's going to leave one-on-one coverage with Cornelius Bennett working against Keith Byers. Go with the out and up, just enough time. Bennett bites on the underneath portion of the route, and then Byers, who has been such a sensational receiver over the years, with a tough over-the-shoulder catch. Huge play by Keith Byers.
It is a 1st and goal at the 5. Dolphins down by 7. Parmalee to the goal line. Touchdown. So Bernie Parmalee, who had been stopped consistently in the 1st half, was able to roll through for the 5 yards, and he brings Miami within 1. In fact, for Bernie Parmalee, his longest run of the day.
Just a little power football, and Eric Green coming down with a huge block on the inside really set that up. Robert Wilson with the block on the outside, and the Miami Dolphins again, they fight back, and Don Shula is loving life right now.
And here is Stoyanovich looking to tie the game. And he does. 5 plays, 51 yards, 2 minutes, 31 seconds.
Showing the heart that Brian Cox said they lacked a couple of weeks ago.
9:11 remaining. 4th quarter. The game is tied at 20. And here's Derek Holmes with the return. Holmes took a good shot as he crossed the 40-yard line. Holmes hit by Gene Atkins, but ran it for 29 yards.
Let's go back to the Bernie Parmalee touchdown. Eric Green is going to get 2, block down and then kick off on the linebacker, and that's what creates the hole. He's taken some heat so far this season because he hasn't put up big receiving numbers, but an equally big reason why they got him was that he can block, and boy, can he still do that.
So Buffalo to the line, starting out at the 43. Keenan and Parker at the tackles, Brown and Ostrowski at the guards. The center is full, and Kelly is able to complete for the 1st down to Copeland. Vincent on the stop. 2nd catch for Copeland, this good for 13.
And not a bad game so far for Russell Copeland, who was intended for the bench today with the anticipation of Andre Reed coming back. Russell Copeland making a couple of nice plays.
1st down at the Miami 44-yard line. Thomas got bottled up. Yes, the hope was that Reed, who's sat out the last 9 games with a full hamstring, would be able to return. He thought he would during the midweek practice sessions. Feeling was he would be back in uniform today, but it was decided on Friday and Saturday he was not ready. So once again, Andre Reed inactive. And here is Kelly throwing deep. And he had Tasker wide open.
Wow, is Michael Stewart lucky. Michael Stewart bit on the tight end Lonnie Johnson. Jim Kelly did a nice job of looking him off, and then Steve Tasker with the speed got in behind, and Steve is rolling his eyes right now. Not Troy Vincent's man. This belonged to Michael Stewart, and Stewart had bit on the tight end. And Tasker can't believe it. That's a couple of long balls now that he's had a chance for, and Jim Kelly has made 4 throws.
3rd and 8. Again, Kelly was looking deep and changed his mind and underthrew.
And Mark, that's the throw that Jim Kelly is not able to make because of some of his arm problems right now. Typically, Jim Kelly could just flip that football. But he said, right now, the only thing I can do is step into the ball and make those throws. And when I don't get the chance to step into it, more often than not, I'm coming up short. The pressure right up in Jim Kelly's face. He doesn't get to step into the football, just makes an arm throw and can't get it there.
So here's Moore with the punt to McDuffie. Drifting over, able to make the fair catch. 33-yard punt. Miami gets it back. And creation of the system in Green Bay has certainly fit in perfectly with the Buffalo Bills. Miami 1st down from the 9-yard line. Just under 8 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. It is picked off. Intercepted by David White. Nebraska with his first interception of the season.
Filling in for the injured Sam Rogers, and Dan Marino cannot believe it. What an athletic play by David White, who sat out football last year. Couldn't find a team, and just goes up and takes it away. Sensational play for a guy who had been cut twice in the last 2 years and gets a chance in the biggest game of the year and has come up huge.
That pass intended for Irving Fryer. And so the Bills have a first down at the Miami 11-yard line with 7:43 left in the fourth, and the game tied at 20. Again, the end around. Steve Tasker with the most popular play of the day.
And they tried to run it that time into the short side of the field, which surprises me a little bit. You've got a guy like Tasker with his quickness. Give him an opportunity. But for Dan Marino, when he released that ball, I know in his mind he thought that was a completion. He did not even take into account the fact that David White was going to put about a 30-inch vertical jump on him and come up with that interception.
Tasker picked up 2, a 2nd and 8. Now here's Thurman Thomas, and he's taken down from behind. Chris Singleton got the hand on the jersey, received help from Lewis Oliver, and Thomas was stopped.
And if this Miami defense can make one more play and get Dan Marino off the hook for that interception, hold this to just a field goal, you know Danny's going to come back out on the field. Look at him, he's ready to go right now. Take that jacket off me. Get me back on the field.
Third down and 7. Thomas off the shovel, and he is stopped. Thurman Thomas met by Lewis Oliver.
And Marv, it was a bad pitch. It's a bad pitch. It was behind Thurman Thomas, and he had to slow down. He had to hesitate for the ball, and the timing of the play was completely destroyed. But Tom Olivedotti's guys have done it again. They did it last week to give their team a chance. They did it 2 weeks ago to give their team a chance, and they've come up huge here again.
And it looks like Lewis Oliver is shaken up.
And you know that the Wolves will be out again in Miami.
So this, a 25-yard field goal attempt for Preston, looking to give Buffalo the lead. So the Bills take a 20, the kick by Preston. Irving spikes with the return. Right into a crowd. And taken down across the 20-yard line. 18 yards on the return. Robert Coons, backup tight end, involved with the tackle. So 6 minutes to go. And here's Dan Marino back on the field playing with a dislocated finger on the left hand. Forced out of the game late in the second quarter, but Bernie Kosar came on for that one final play in the second, but it has been Marino right throughout in the second half.
And Mark, you can't ask for anything better than this. Great pass rushing team, the greatest quarterback statistically of all time. 6 minutes, here we go.
From the 22-yard line. And Marino completing over the middle. O.J. McDuffie. That's his 4th catch of the day. And it is a Miami first down.
And here's what the Dolphins had success with the first time against the Bills. The Bills just dropping back into that zone defense. There are some holes underneath. Just get it to your wideouts, get it to your backs, let them pick up the yardage after the catch.
Myers and Parmalee, the running backs. Parmalee to the 38, picked up 4. Hanson and Washington combined to make the tackle.
Falls under the category of Dan Marino's no fool. Bruce Smith on this side. So Bernie Parmalee says, please take the ball the other way.
Second down and 7. Miami has never led. They have been coming from behind right throughout. They were able to tie the game at 20. Down by 3 here. And Marino's pass over the head of Fryer. Covered by the right corner, Thomas Smith.
Got a little chance to see on that play why Keith Sims went to the Pro Bowl this year at left guard. Bruce Smith came down inside on him. And Sims, despite all the problems he's had with his foot and his toe this year, just took Bruce Smith and put him on his back.
It is a third down play. 3rd and 6 at the 38. And they are standing here in Buffalo with 4:44 left in the 4th. Marino got the time, nearly intercepted, intended for McDuffie. Bennett got a piece of it.
And Cornelius Bennett, the heart just keeps on ticking. He may not be the fastest guy in the world anymore, but he's got enough speed to make this play. You read Dan Marino's eyes, and the fingertips are just long enough. And once again, the Pro Bowler makes another play. Sensational effort.
And here's Kidd with his 5th punt of the day. Tasker calling for the fair catch. Right at the turn back by Calvin Jackson.
Calvin Jackson making the stop.
Picked up 4 on the play. It'll be a 2nd 2 remaining in this 4th quarter.
Pardon me, I go back to that game last week. In the second half, this offense of the Miami Dolphins, they were the problem. 6 different times they could not get the ball past their own 44-yard line. And I'm sure Don Shula, in his wildest dreams, when this team got off to his 4-0 start, would never have believed that in crunch time, it would have been his offense and not his defense that was the problem.
3 timeouts remaining for both the Dolphins and the Bills. Kelly on 1st down. Brooks turned back by Calvin Jackson.
Calvin Jackson making the stop.
Picked up 4 on the play. It'll be a 2nd down and 6. A win for the Bills, and they clinch the AFC East. Miami can clinch a playoff spot with a win here today, plus a San Diego loss. They'll play later against the Colts, either a Denver loss or an Oakland loss. Now, if Miami loses, it still clinches a berth if Denver, San Diego, and Seattle all lose. But, of course, the odds there lessen. So they look at today as critical. Thurman Thomas finding the hole and has a 1st down. Tackled by Chris Singleton.
And we thought that over the next 2 games, Thurman Thomas might be able to close in on his 7th 1,000-yard rushing season, and he has just taken the Miami Dolphins, and he's going to do it against this team. He just has been the difference, Marv. He has certainly been the difference, and I always thought that Thurman Thomas was an important part of this team, but I don't think even I realized it until watching him in the last 2 weeks. What a difference he has made.
1st down at the 35-yard line. Thomas gets a couple. Stopped by Coleman. Timeout is taken by the Dolphins with 2:58 remaining in this 4th quarter. Well, the Miami Dolphins have come up big in 4th and 1 situations in recent weeks. And you get the idea they're going to have to come up very big here today defensively.
You have to go back to the Atlanta game. 4th and 1, and June Jones deciding not to kick a 45-yard field goal with Morton Anderson. Brian Cox makes the hit, turns the ball over, and Dan Marino goes on to win that one. And then last week on 4th down, it was Terrell Buckley, the much maligned Terrell Buckley, making that play against Webster Slaughter to lock it up. And once again, Talon Malavidati's defense, Brian Cox and company, they have to make a play, and they have to make one right now. Another 1st down makes it very difficult. They've taken the time out here, 2nd down and 9, and really what the Dolphins are saying is that this series of downs is what's going to decide whether or not Dan Marino gets another shot.
So Miami with the 2 timeouts remaining, 2 minutes 58 seconds to go in this 4th quarter.
And they have to stop the run. The Dolphins just simply have to bow up here and stop the run. They haven't done it all day.
Thomas, the lone D-back. Kelly to throw. Able to loop it over to the tight end, Lonnie Johnson, who has had an enormous game. Singleton with the stop. It's good for 15, and that's the 6th reception for the second-year man from Florida State, Lonnie Johnson. Miami using another timeout. They have 1 remaining.
Completion to Lonnie Johnson. The Dolphins come in with the blitz, and then the defensive end supposed to drop out into coverage, but Johnson just got in behind him. Great call by Jim Kelly. And really, Marv, one of the differences with this Buffalo Bills team has been they've gone back to the hurry-up, no-huddle. Let Jim Kelly call the plays. He really has a handle on this K-gun offense.
And the running game has certainly helped. They now have hit 200 yards rushing thanks to this man. Herman Thomas on the slant is stopped by Chris Singleton. And Miami has just used its final timeout. So they'll also get the 2-minute warning. But with 2:38 to go in this 4th quarter, they have used their 3rd timeout.
So now, at best, Miami will get the ball back with about 1:30 to go. And I just can't imagine that they're going to throw another pass, although with Jim Kelly calling the plays, you never know. But for Don Shula, you just have to be honest, this has to be a very difficult year for him. He starts off the season 4-0, and the Super Bowl talk was running rampant. And now in Miami, you go down there, you turn on the talk radio, you pick up the newspaper, and all the talk is about Jimmy Johnson and should Don Shula stay on, should they make a coaching change. And it's really remarkable for a guy who has had 27 winning seasons in 33 years that at the end of his career he's going to have to face that. But to be honest, the only guy that could put that kind of pressure is Jimmy Johnson. You know, there's only one guy out there that would put that kind of pressure on a great coach like Don Shula.
Well, this is the first of a 2-year extension. First year on a 2-year extension to the contract, and Dolphins owner Wayne Huizenga has said it will be Don Shula's choice. He's been quoted as saying that, but we'll have to see. As Herman Thomas is able to rip his way through, Michael Stewart with the tackle. Have to see where they spot the football. Thomas with his 34th carry. He has 146 yards. It will be a 3rd and about 2. And the clock is running. So he is approaching another 1,000-yard season. But as you say, the feeling was he would need next week to go over that plateau. Now 2 minutes remaining in the 4th. Welcome back to Rich Stadium in Buffalo. Marv Albert with Chris Collinsworth. The Bills with a 23-20 lead on the Dolphins, and a huge play upcoming. It's a 3rd down and 2 from Buffalo at the Miami 41. Herman Thomas picks up the 1st down. And the clock is running. Miami using its final timeout. Apparently Thomas had the ball pulled out of his hand. Brian Cox being held back. Cox involved with Carwell Gardner.
And here we go. There it is again.
Now they should both be thrown out.
It's just a pure fist fight. And obviously Brian Cox frustrated. His team losing a key ball game now. If that was a 1st down, in fact, and the temper part of Brian Cox that he just does not seem to be able to control is out of control again.
And Cox ended up on the ground. Earlier you may have heard Brian Cox explaining his dual personality. Well, we just saw one side of that personality.
The dark side of it.
As he and Carwell Gardner got involved. Minute 41 remaining.
And Mark, the key thing is we're not absolutely sure that it's a first down. Have you seen the signal yet? I'm not positive. It's close. They've got it marked. And then you have Brian Cox throwing punches, so they may well pick up 15 yards on the end of the play. And if it wasn't, it would be now.
And both guys should they eject.
Oh, absolutely.
No indication as of yet. There's a personal foul against Buffalo, one against Miami.
But all post-possession, or all after the play.
Continuing action fouls. Personal foul, number 35, Buffalo, is ejected. Number 51, Miami, is ejected. We'll have a measurement.
Well, Tom White capturing it all. As Brian Cox makes the long walk, this might not be pretty. As he is spinning in the direction of the Buffalo fans.
He better put that helmet on.
Brian Cox heading down the tunnel and feeling some of the debris that is tossed in his direction, and quickly ushered back to the Miami locker room, and the Bills do pick up the first down.
And the Buffalo Bills are going to win the AFC East again on this play by Thurman Thomas. Stopped initially by Brian Cox, but Brian Cox could not hold on. And then afterwards, obviously, an embarrassed Brian Cox for not making the play, got up, and the action started. But for Bruce Smith, for the Buffalo Bills, what an incredible year. All the injuries they've had. No one expected Buffalo to win this division. I dare anyone to say that they predicted that Buffalo would win the division. Miami with the high expectations. Everyone predicting a Super Bowl for the Miami Dolphins. No one thought anything about the Buffalo Bills, and the Bills have done it. And Marv Levy, a masterful job of coaching this season.
And the Bills will make it 6 AFC East titles in the last 8 years, and the crowd reacting. Helped by the cheerleading of Cornelius Bennett. Well, we were talking yesterday after practice with Jim Kelly, and I believe he directed a remark to you saying you'd have to be crazy at the start of the season if you would have thought that the Bills would win the AFC East.
And I wouldn't have thought. I certainly did not. I thought the Miami Dolphins would walk away with this division.
And the Bills will just run it out. The Dolphins out of timeouts. Buffalo will go to 10-5. And the Miami Dolphins 8 up, 7 down. As we have been mentioning, they are not yet out of the playoff picture, but it is a real long shot. Very slim. They need a lot of cooperation from other teams, plus a win next week.
And Marv, you brought it up earlier. Wayne Huizenga has said that the decision as to whether or not Don Shula comes back is left to Don Shula. But in my opinion, that puts a tremendous burden on Don Shula. Then all the media, all the naysayers, all the talk show callers, they call in and they say, well, Don Shula should step down or should not be the coach. If Wayne Huizenga, on the other hand, comes out and says, I want Don Shula as my coach. He has another year on his contract. I am not interested in any other coach. Now you silence all the critics. You silence all the problems that they have. But by the way that Wayne Huizenga has sort of left it open-ended and left the decision to Don Shula, it has created that pressure in Miami.
And for Buffalo, another outstanding day for Jim Kelly and for Thurman Thomas. 35 carries, 149 yards for Thomas, 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground, 1 as a receiver. Time is running down, final seconds. Marino 17 of 27, 204 43 yards, 1 touchdown, and a very costly interception that was picked off by the linebacker David White. So the final score, Buffalo Bills 23, Miami Dolphins 20. They win the